This was my father, Richard Sylvano Grossa, originally known as Sylvanog. The badge that he's wearing is called a silver badge, and it was awarded by the king himself. They had to apply for it in September, and he actually signed the certificate himself. That was the battalion that he was assigned to, which is the 4th Battalion Welsh Regiment, Hearson Camp in August 1915, and that was down in Haverfordwest. That was the whole battalion.
On the memorial plaque on the honour board, there are 25 men who fought during the war. One of them died, the other 24 survived, predominantly because they joined late on in the war.
But I don't think anyone's really noticed these plaques in a sense. But 2 years ago, my history teacher, she formed a club, and from that, people like me and my friends who have an interest in World War I did some research.
Despite all the interest and articles we put in our local newspapers, we could not find anybody who could share information with us. Then all of a sudden we received an email from Mrs. Susan Lear, the daughter of Richard Sylvano Grossa, who had read an article about us.
When I got here, they had done an awful lot of research, and I only filled in the gaps. They gave up their break times, their lunch times, and after school.
Luckily, we were able to contact an expert from the RAF in order to understand the codes and the different symbols and what they represented.
We've got books that we made that are currently available to the community. We are also setting up a website on the school page that is currently being updated.
As the years go on, there are less and less people alive who are actually connected directly to the war.
It has helped us to understand the place of conflict in the world today.
It's important to the school in terms of its history and heritage.
It's not just a plaque for us now. We know the stories about these men, and it means a lot to us in a way.
Welcome to Llawcambach, a closed mining site just outside of Aberystwyth, Ceredigion. The reason we're here today is that we've been contacted by a new owner who's restoring an old mine manager's house. We were invited to record the building and its contents, which most date back to the 1950s and 60s. Currently we're in the process of working with the objects.
I was finding an old kettle. It was quite a rusty one, and that was actually on the fire that they used there.
One of the girls, Emily, she was looking at the census of the miners and the people who lived around here, and finding out that it was a very small mine who would travel in from different areas to work on the mine.
Very interesting just to think about what sort of life they lived when they were at a time when most of the country was modernising after World War II.
A lot of the women, part of these families whose husbands or children were miners, worked in the processing side of the mining as well, with the ores and to make the silver. With the photographic records, we're going to be placing them into the National Monument of Wales archive.
We're going to be able to build a picture of what it was properly like around here, because there are very few, if any, photographs of Llawcambach that survive today.
And we're going to see what objects we can donate to the Ceredigion Museum to show the history of Llawcambach itself. An important part of this project is working alongside the Youth Justice Prevention team. The workshops we run for the young people vary, and we try to keep history as fun and informal as we can. We've run snapshot photography workshops, dressing up workshops. They really enjoy finding out new, different ways of learning about history, and it just gives them a great day out.
The project was given to me to work on by a man called Grenville Jones, who is the head of the Goldies charity. His idea with the armistice and the anniversary coming up was that it would be nice to have an intergenerational project where the children could connect with the past, enjoy music and singing with the older generation.
Goldies Cymru is a charity to try and help alleviate isolation and loneliness from older people. So it's about music and singing and dancing, bringing older people together. We also run intergenerational projects, bringing the younger children together with older people.
So we started the project with a selection of about 12 tracks, instrumental tracks, and the children were given the project to create a musical, choosing about 7 songs to reflect different aspects of the war. So once they selected their 7 tracks, they sat down and then wrote the lyrics, wrote their own lyrics to each of those tracks, which then became, individual songs.
It was hard to come up with some words because the song I wrote was Heroes, which you just heard, and it was about all the boys going off to war, so we had to think of something cheery, and it was hard to decide if we wanted lines to rhyme or not, and which fit well into like a verse. And then obviously you had to come up with the chorus and how the tune was going together, so it was very hard.
Before the project began, the children had very little, if no, prior knowledge of World War I. They were very aware of World War II and the events there, but World War I was quite new to a lot of them, so we started it off with a visit to the Glamorgan Archives.
We discovered a lot of things at the Glamorgan Archives, like letters from mothers writing to their sons and pictures of soldiers fighting throughout the war.
As we were writing the songs and looking at poetry, we all had a little picture in our heads of what it could have been like. At the start we thought it would be all joyful, but it wasn't.
The first time I saw it performed was incredible to actually know that the children had done all that work themselves. It was just mind-blowing really, so yeah.